Okay, hello and welcome to the March 2022 product webinar from the Bettyblocks platform. We're gonna do it a little different today. We only have 3 hosts. Well, first of all, it's me, Oliver. Hello, thank you for being here, for watching and listening. The second host of today will be Jordi Krom, one of the product owners of the tech team. And the third will be Jelmer Kok, the product manager. As you can see on screen, the goal of the webinar is we want to give self-building customers, partners, developers, everyone just a little bit of insight about what we are working on, what we're going to work on, and well, what you can basically expect with a little bit of a short explanation. If you have any questions about the stuff that you see coming on screen, please use the Q&A section within Zoom. We will try to answer 2 questions per section live, and other questions will be answered in a chat by either Jordi or Jelmer or any of the product owners available. And if there is a question that is, well, might need a little bit of a longer explanation or is a bit more difficult, we'll try to get to you for a one-on-one. And of course, just a little reminder, this webinar is recorded. So for today's topics, we're gonna do it in 2 parts. The first part is going to be part 1, what have we worked on? We're gonna be talking about new application templates, platform management features, enabling more parts in the new IDE, and platform stability and performance. And then the next part of the webinar is going to be, what are we going to focus on in Q2? We're gonna focus on the ease of use, enabling more parts in the IDE, platform stability and performance, and scalability capabilities. So for the first part, I'd like to give the microphone to Jordi Krom to talk about the application templates. Jordi, go ahead.
Oh. Thank you, Odin. So first of all, also from my side, welcome to this webinar. As a tradition, we will start with application templates. That's how we usually do it. So I'm going to tell a bit more about the applications we have been building. And of course, the goal for these applications is for you to create and extend upon ready-to-use apps in a few mouse clicks. So what have we been developing over the last couple of sprints? So basically, we have been adding multiple templates. The first one is the dynamic questionnaire. It was already presented in the last webinar, but as you can see, it's updated. And what's the goal of this template is to quickly set up any questionnaire in any minutes. We also have the Know Your Customer templates that can be used to easily verify and manage any entities you do business with, so any customers or persons you do business with. We also have an NDA generator. You can use that template to simply create, update, and send any NDAs. And we also have worked on a self-service knowledge center, and that can help you to easily document, manage, and access the knowledge centralized. So that is the 4 templates we have been doing. Most of them are also focused on the legal sector, but of course, in any other sector, when they are relevant, you can use them with a few mouse clicks, and I will demo you how you can do that. I'm not going to demo every template because we have a very nice feature that you can click to templates yourself, which is also something I will be showing. So you might recognize the My Bettyblock dashboard here, and also in the beginning below Start Building, you see some sort of templates. But if you click View All Templates, you will be directed to all the templates we have been building for you in the past. And as you can see, if I scroll down a bit, that's already a pretty extensive list. And in the top, you will recognize the templates I just explained. So for example, the self-service knowledge center or the NDA generator. And what's nice, if you click on use the template, oh, sorry, not here, but here, you will see a short description and a screenshot, but you can also press live preview, and that will give you an actual example of the application where you can just log in without filling anything. And it will demo the application for you, so you can click through it and see if it is any fit for you to use. So that's a very nice feature, I would say. So I would for sure recommend you to check it out. And then, of course, when you think, hey, this is a nice template, this is a good fit, you click Use Template, you select the organization you want to add it to, you pick a nice name, and then you create the application. within just a few mouse clicks. So like I mentioned, just try it out and see for yourself, but it works yeah, really smoothly, if you ask me. Then I will go back to this. So that was about application templates. So once again, try them out. Then I want to talk to you a bit about platform management. That will help you to enable admins within the My Bettyblocks environment to have more control over the platform. What does that mean? Well, we want to give you more options to allow who can do what within the platform by providing certain guardrails. So what have we been developing over the last couple of months? We have been building a role-based access control system where you can create roles and assign permissions. For now, we focused on 2 permissions, as you can see in the list. It's the permission to merge applications and the permissions to put apps live to production. I will demo it in a bit as well so that you have the full context. But what I already want to show you in the bottom of this slide is that they will be released in 2 steps. So the first step is already live. What's that? That's the part where you can manage your permissions and roles and assign the roles to the users. So that's something you can already do within the Bettyblocks platform, and I will show you in a bit. The second step, that's going to happen next week, Tuesday, so April the 5th. And that's an important step because that's actually a step where the new permissions in the interface will be adhered to. So you now already have time to prepare for step 2 by doing step 1. And then when step 2 is live, you can enjoy the benefits. But of course, I will demo it. So if I go back to the Bettyblocks platform, click on organizations and open my organization, I can click on user management. And then if you look closely, there's a new tab called roles and permissions. And if you click on that, you'll see that there are 2 roles by default, admin and member. The admin can do anything. So as you can see, the permissions I just mentioned are on the right, and you cannot edit this role. So the admin can always do all permissions we have. We also have the member role. That's also a role we already had. And if I would click on that, you can see that the member role cannot do those permissions by default. And also this cannot be changed. So the admin and member always exist. They cannot be edited and they cannot be changed. And all existing users, they are already in these roles. So they will just move to the new role with the new permissions. Where it becomes nice is where you can click add, because then you can create new roles. Let's now, for example, say I will create a role called publisher. If I then save it, I'm able to change the permissions. And then I, for example, can say the publisher is allowed to merge changes and it's allowed to change the application status. And then this new role has come to life. And then I can go to user management, for example, and I can go to any user in my organization and give him or her the new role. So let's say I want to give this user the role publisher, then now this user is publisher. Of course, this also works for new users you invite. So if I invite a new user now and just do a test, I can also select the publisher role by default if I would like to. How does this work in the interface? So if I go back to the organization and just open an application, then we have 2 permissions now. And the first permission is if you can put app live to production. And that basically ties into this button in the right. So basically by default, when you create an app, it's in development mode. But whether you have or haven't this permission, you can change the status to live. That's the first permission. The second permission is in the merging. So if I have a sandbox, you can see here, and the production app, I can press this button to merge one into another, and then it will load the merge overview. That will always still be possible, even if you haven't the permission. The thing that will change is if you don't have the permission, you can no longer press this button on the right and actually merge changes to a higher application level. So that's basically 2 permissions we added now in a nutshell. And like I mentioned, these adherences to the new permissions will go live next week, Tuesday. So after this webinar, you will still have time to manage your roles and permissions. Let's go back to the slides. Did I want to add anything about this? No, not really. So let's move on to the next slide. That's platform single sign-on. So that's another feature we added. And that's basically to enable you as an IT manager or administrator in general to manage who can access the platform via your own identity provider. So that's focused on my Bettyblocks and the builder environment, so the IDE, and it ties into existing and new platform users. And of course, I will give a short demo about this as well. So let me move to another screen. So basically, this is the login to my Bettyblocks. You might already have noticed that we no longer ask for email and password in the first place, but that it's split into two. So now if I do, for example, jordi@bettyblocks.com, which doesn't have single sign-on enabled, it will just ask for password. But if I now would do the email domain that has single sign-on enabled, so that's in this case holder.nl, I will not be shown the password field, but I will be forwarded to Google because this one was set up with Google, but in theory, we can set it up with any identity provider. Then I can log in, fill my password. And then I will be forwarded to my Bettyblocks without entering my password. So that's really nice because even if you forget to remove a user that left your company in my Bettyblocks, if you disable them in your general identity provider, they still won't have access to the platform anymore. So that's something less to worry about. And of course, also, if I go to an application now and open the application, then I'm also directly logged into the IDE via the same single sign-on feature. So that's that feature in a nutshell. And like I said in the bottom of the slide, if you're interested in using this feature, let us know. We're rolling it out at the moment. It's not visible yet in the My Bettyblocks interface, so you cannot manage it yourself, but we can set it up for you pretty easily if you just give us some basic details we would need. We can, of course, tell you what we need. So if you're interested, please contact us, and we're happy to set it up for you so that you can check it out. Oh.
Okay, thank you. Before going to Jelmer, Jordi, a question from Paul Byman for you.
Yeah.
When you create a new role in the application settings, will this be automatically added to the back office as a user role?
A good question, and the answer is no, because right now these roles and permissions are purely focused on organization level, so on my Bettyblocks within the organization. But on application level, we also have the role builder or user, and that is something we didn't touch with this change, and that ties into the back office as well. So the roles and permissions you can now create and manage at this moment don't have anything to do with the back office.
Yes, indeed. Those are really two separate things, indeed. Yeah.
Okay, well, thank you. And then there is another question from Tim Decker. Will there be a difference in merging and getting data for a branch?
Let me see. So the reverse merge from dev to a branch. Good question. At this moment, there is no difference. So I think if you don't have the permission to merge, you can also not do the thing you mentioned in the question, in the Q&A. But of course, we could look into separating them if that would have your preference, because I can understand why that would be nice. So at this moment, we didn't distinguish them, but we could in the future, yes.
Well, thank you. Those were the questions. Jelmer, please continue.
Yes, thanks, Odin. Yeah, I will be talking about the next part that we did over the last couple of weeks. That's enabling more parts in the ID to increase ease of use by moving from one development environment, from two development environments to one again. So what did we do? Well, we worked on the model permissions. So these are the application roles that Paul was referring to in his last question. So we have been working on application roles and model permissions in the new IDE. This is currently still behind a feature flag, but the release note is already communicated, I believe next week or the week after it, that this will become available for new applications. So what does it do? It does allow you to create application roles, model permission management. So you could define what a certain application role may or may not do in terms of reading data, for example. And what we also have developed is one overview, which you could see on the right, of roles, models, and permissions combined in just one feature. That doesn't mean that you can't see the model permissions scoped on one model. That means that we go live with this overview and then do the scoped model feature afterwards. So what does this mean? I'm not sure if this really works. Odin, could you confirm?
I currently am still seeing the slides.
Okay, then there is something going on with my setup. Okay, well, let's skip that for now. Technical issue, sorry for that. Well, I hope the screenshot fits into my story. So the next thing that we did was we developed new components that use next generation actions. Now, what does this mean? We are moving from 2 development environments to 1 again. And one of the missing elements in the new IDE is the actions. And actions are generated by page builder components. So what we have now developed is a set of new components which automatically generates the new actions. And because they are using the new actions, you can also manage the action, well, the workflow of the action in the IDE. So you don't have to switch to the old IDE again. This is currently also behind a feature flag, but we've worked on it very hard with a couple of teams. And as you can see on the right with the screenshot, in the page builder, there will be a toggle to use the new components that uses the next gen actions, such as a form, a logging form, just a normal form, but also an action button. And by using them, a new action is created instead of an old action. So this is still behind a feature flag on production, but it will be available also within, I believe, within next week or the week afterwards. Well, with the new components that we have developed, we have, of course, also enabled our new actions in the IDE. I think this was released a couple of days ago, or maybe even yesterday. What does it do? It allows you to directly navigate to an action from the builder bar. So if you open the actions, you can go to the new actions and you can manage them. Of course, you can also navigate to them via the page builder component, what you are used to have. But you can also now go directly to the action via the quick menu on the left and open the actions. Currently, the actions sidebar with the available steps are still empty. But in the upcoming days, with the release of the new components, we will, of course, also release the extend the available action steps in the sidebar. But if you are a pro coder, you can already use it because you can create your own action step. And by creating your own action step, it will appear on the left in the sidebar. And you can use it to drag and drop it on your canvas and use it for example, in the context of a page builder form or a page builder button. Sorry for the missing demo, but I hope the screenshots are well enough. Another topic that we've worked on over the last couple of weeks is platform stability and performance. So what did we do? We enhanced our metadatabase to to a new database storage technique. This sounds a bit technical, but I hope that I can explain it well enough what this means for you as a customer or as a developer. Because of this new storage technique, we could create faster sandbox merging. And also we increased the success rate of sandbox merges to over 99% success. So in the past, we struggled some bit with getting this stabilized to this KPI. But now with this, the new database storage technique, we see a significant increase of success. So that's at least a very positive thing also for us, and also for of course you as a developer. What it also meant is faster page loading when opening a page. So the page is just fast, more fast loaded into the ID. And also this has some impact, or have had some impact, on faster application creation from the My Bettyblocks environment. What we also did, we also worked on improving the compiling of pages. We reduced a large number of timeouts when clicking play of the application. And we also increased the success rate of the compilation of pages, and also after a sandbox merge. So when you're merging a sandbox, the whole application needs to be compiled again, because your pages could of course be changed. And we increased the success rate of that compiling process. Another thing, a last thing that we did in this topic is the increased stability in the invitation and registration flow. Well, I think the items speaks for themselves. So these were the three main areas in which we improved our platform in terms of stability and performance.
Okay, there's the two questions, Jelmer. The first one from Paul Bijman. Do these actions have a different performance level because they are created or updated in the new environment? Or is it just the possibility to work with actions in the new environment instead of the old environment?
No, it is the first one. So it's the next gen actions. So the next generation actions do not only become available in the new ID, they also have a entire new implementation behind it. So it's not only the front end which is new, but also like the engine behind it. So I hope this answers your question, Paul.
And then we have a second question from an anonymous attendee. Are you also working on the performance of developing in the page builder? When this developer is using quite some pages, they are realizing that the page builder might respond differently.
Yes, very good question. And that's indeed also one of the things that we have planned for Q2. So you already spoiled a bit, but thanks for bringing this up. This is indeed a part of our Q2 plan. So thanks, anonymous attendee.
And can you answer Tim's question via chat? Is that an option?
Absolutely.
Good. Okay, then for this next segment, let me just jump right in. So we're going to the next part where Jelmer and Jordi will be talking about what we are going to focus on in Q2, so the next 3 months of this year. We're going to be talking about the ease of use of the platform. We're going to talk about enabling more parts in the IDE, such as the actions, as you just saw. And well, as we're going to be using the new data model, those are all parts of the new IDE. We're going to be looking into platform stability and performance, and we're going to be looking at scalability capabilities. So Jelmer, for the next slide, please take it away.
Yes, thanks, Odin. Yeah, so what we will be focusing on in Q2 is ease of use. So easier application development for the new breed of developers, which we rather call citizen developers. So ease of use is a vital element in our vision within citizen development, sorry, because we want to enable a new breed of developer to develop apps. So you have to offer a certain level of well, usability, so easiness in the platform. So what do we have on our roadmap for Q2? I will just briefly go to a couple of initiatives that we have positioned on our Q2 roadmap. This is not the entire list. This is I think what we or what makes the biggest impact for our customers. So I just made a small summary of it. So the first thing is we want to enable the internal authentication in the IDE as well as in the page builder runtime. So what does this mean? Currently, if you're using the page builder, you cannot use the internal authentication, which already comes for free when using the Bettyblocks platform. This is the same authentication in which which is used for authentication for authenticate developers on the platform, and it's very similar to what you are used to have in the back office. So in the back office, you're used to have the same authentication for your end users and for your developers. Now, this same this same ease of use we want to extend also to the page builder, because it saves you a lot of time if you're developing applications for internal use only. And it's also because we've now developed the single sign-on feature in My Bettyblocks. This becomes even more important because customers would like to have the same single sign-on for their developers as for their end users in cases where you are developing internal applications. So this is the first thing that we have on our roadmap for this topic. Another topic is preventing dead-end streets when using, for example, page templates. So if you're using a page template and the page template requires a model, a data model, and at the moment you're creating your page and the question comes in like, what kind of model do you want to base this template on? And you don't have that you don't have that model yet, then you're ending up in the dead-end street. So these dead-end streets we want to prevent by offering an ability to create those kind of entities. So that goes for a model, but also for a property. And the same goes for an authentication profile. And this is just a screenshot how this could look like. So in the background, you see a page template, and imagine I've selected the back office template, for example, and I'm asked to select a model, and the model is not yet available. So in this case, I can directly create an employee model and add properties to it, click save, and I can directly use it in my flow. So I don't have to exit the flow. I can just, I just remain in my context, do a small step besides my main flow, and then return back to my main flow again to complete the page. Another interesting topic, and this is also a personal topic which I like pretty much, is an easier initial setup when using templates as pages. So currently, when you are using a page template, the page template breaks down into multiple components on the canvas. And for citizen developers, this could be very overwhelming, like, whoa, I've selected the template and now it falls apart into those, I don't know, 100 components. And what we want to do and what we want to introduce is how we call it the wrapper component concept. And the wrapper component is just a certain, or is just a group. So it's a component that you wrap, over certain components. And this allows us to create a much easier initial experience for example, citizen developers. So the moment once we have developed this and you're using the back office template, which you can see here on the right, the back office template does not fall apart in those 100 components, but just in 3 or maybe 2 components. So the initial setup and the initial configuration of this template will become way easier than know your way out into those 100 components. And especially when the component or the template that you have used, the page template, also has certain hidden components, because hidden components are currently hard to find on the canvas because they're meant to be hidden. And this is a UX challenge that we have, but we believe that with this wrapper component, we can very easily make a button, for example, on the wrapper component to open the drawer from the left or from the right. So the wrapper component is just a simple setup which can use linked options to his children, let's say, and you can influence the value of options such as open drawer, which is just the toggle of the visibility of the drawer component. So it's an easier initial setup, also with the ability to escape. And that's very important because we are always try to look for the most easiest initial setup with a way out, so to say. So also the wrapper component, you can ungroup or dive into the group and make changes more on a fine-grained level, and then close the group again to remain the same ease of use, so to say. I hope my message was a bit clear. I wish I could demo you also something in the page builder, but luckily I have this screenshot over there. Another initiative that we are planning to do is the image selector for the media component. So currently on the right, you will see that I have my logo. I want to have my logo on my page. I'm using a media component for this. Sorry. And currently you have to copy paste your image URL in the source field of the media component. Now this is of course not the nicest UX that we can offer. Okay, it does the job, but we can do better. So what we want is a image selector here where you now have to fill in your image URL, which makes it much easier to select, because you just get a list of public files that you have available in your application, and you can just select a public file rather than copy pasting the file's URL into this field. Another initiative on our Q2 roadmap is page menus when using templates. So currently, page templates, every page template comes available with not only the body of the template, but also with the menu of the template. But a menu is something which you want to reuse over and over again in different page templates. So we want to abstract the menu out of the templates and make them as a separate entity, selectable in the create page flow. In this, by doing this, you can just reuse a earlier created menu, and you can reuse it over and over again instead of the current situation.
Okay, we do have some questions. So let's go to one of the questions from Paul Bijman. Will
Yeah, sure.
global variables also be available to select in the page builder?
Will global variables also be available to select in the page builder? Well, I'm very curious why you would want that, Paul. So if you could give a use case to it. So my question in return would be, why would you want that, or what's the situation that you're now ending up with not having this?
Oh, that sounds like a good use case. Let's see if we can continue that via chat, for example. So if Paul could ask us that, then you could see to that question a little later. Then there's also another question from Yulun. Currently, the URLs of images in public files are bound to a sandbox/branch. Will the image selector also fix this issue?
Yeah, very good question, Yulun. I don't have the answer yet. I have to dive into it. So this is something which I'll get back to you if you don't mind.
Okay, thank you. So those were questions we have had for now. So please take it away to the second part of your.
Yes, thanks. Previously, we went through the ease of use roadmap. A second topic on our roadmap for Q2 is also a continuation of Q1, and that's enabling more parts in the new ID. One of the first things that we will do, and which is also already communicated via our release notes, that is that the data model will only be editable from the new IDE. We will release this in 2 phases, which is for new applications first, and then existing applications second. So I believe within a week or maybe 2 weeks, new applications will only be, the data model of new applications will only be editable in the new IDE. And afterwards, we will also migrate existing applications to this setup. A second thing that we will do is the create and read and update and delete of public files. And that sort of ties into the image selector that I just presented, which will become available in the page builder. Because if you want to if you want to add your logo to your application's public files, then you currently need the old environment, and we will make it available in the new IDE. So you can just remain in the new IDE to fulfill that use case. And of course, the page builder components with the next gen actions will become the default. So what we will do to achieve this is we will enrich the actions capabilities and the native steps offering, of course, in the sidebar. And because we are enriching that, at some point we say, okay, the new page builder components will become the default. And then the V1 components are, internally we call them V1, but I have to say the components which are currently using the old actions are still available in the page builder, but the new ones become the default and also initially defaultly available. And that was it. Is there any question left?
One more question for you from Ronald Klein. He has requested using variables in pages. He says it's very normal for a programmer to do so. For example, disable buttons. But is that something that we can still expect? Using variables in pages, a bit as Ronald is for example, disabling buttons by using variables of page, by using variables, I assume.
I will answer this via typing, so we can continue this webinar. I will answer you via text, Ronald.
It's a good one. So thank you, Jelmer and Jordi. Continue, please.
Yes, thank you, Jelmer and Odin. So we have two more topics to discuss where we are going to work on in the second quarter of the year. This one was the one that was already spoiled a bit. So again, we are going to put some dedicated focus into platform stability and performance, because of course we envision that you can use the platform and the applications in a stabilized and good way. So what are we going to aim for in the second quarter? So basically the first bullet point is the one that also ties into the question that was asked. So we're going to improve the page builder drag and drop performance in the design time. So that means, for example, indeed, when you grab a component and drop it on the canvas, that it doesn't take too long or doesn't freeze your screen. And also when you click a component, that it doesn't take too long. So there are a lot of things in the pipeline to make sure that the page builder stability and performance will be better. The second one sounds a bit technical. So the event bus, that's basically a platform core mechanism to internally communicate within the platform. And we have ideas to improve that, because we have seen that it gave some issues previously. So we're going to make sure that the stability will be better. And then, for example, you could notice that in the expressions. And the last thing that's also a very important thing is that we're going to do some server upgrade for the data databases. Quite technical, but in the end, that will make sure that the actions, performance and speed and stability will improve. So based on the stuff we already did in Q1, we are going to extend on that to make sure that, yeah, the platform is stable and performs well. So a lot of things in the pipeline to hopefully make everyone's life a bit better. Then the final topic I want to discuss is scalability. So we still also have some great ideas to improve the capabilities in the platform to scale citizen development. What are the plans there? The first thing is that we want to extend the roles and permissions in my Bettyblocks. So earlier I demoed that you can now set the permission to merge applications and to put applications live, but we have some more permissions coming up. So for example, the ability to create a new application will be put behind a permission, the ability to invite new users to an organization. And also we want to split the merge permission, because currently merging is only one permission for the whole application, but we can imagine that developers are allowed to merge from a sandbox to another sandbox, but are not allowed to merge to the production application. So by splitting this up, you can still allow your developers to merge applications, but the merge to the final production application, which is always a bit more risky, of course, needs to be checked via separate permission and can be given to different people. Next to that, we also want to make sure that the templates I showed in the beginning of this presentation will be available on all cloud zones. Currently, they are not, so you cannot always use the templates, which is of course not so great, because we built those nice and great templates for you to make sure you have a great start with Bettyblocks and can, for a lot of use cases with a few clicks, as I showed you, create new applications, but yeah, they don't always work on all zones. So we're gonna fix that and make sure that wherever you use Bettyblocks, you can use the default templates we create. And at the last point, of course, we also have some other ideas. So we want to help our customers to get their applications to production faster. So what we have encountered is that sometimes applications are finished the development phase, but then still it can take weeks or even months before the app see the light of day, so gets used in production. And we have some ideas on how we could help you to improve this. I'm not going into too much details now, but also if you have input for this, feel free to reach out. But of course, this is a point we have on our agenda and where we want to make an impact in the upcoming quarter. Okay, then I'm not sure if there are any questions left, Odin.
Okay, let me join in. No, there currently are no questions left. If there are any questions, let But that's a question for me. So I'll answer that via chat later. I'll round up the webinar for now. So this is for now. The webinar will tackle some questions during the chat. So Marcel, I'll get to you as soon as possible. Please let us know if you have some feedback. Well, throw it out here or via the webinar survey Betty app. The next webinar will be determined. I'm super busy, so I just can't. No, we're talking with all the product owners and the product manager about the next date for the webinar. So an update email will be sent once the next date has been decided. So for now, I'd like to thank you for joining this webinar today. And if you have any questions, ask them via the Q&A. We'll be here to answer them. And see you next time.